Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm having a little trouble deciding exactly when I'm live here. I'm not in the NCK Christian Whistleblower studio, as you see. I'm out on the road continuing the Thank God I'm Free and There's No Automatic Weapons Pointed at Me tour. And we're very happy. We're very excited about that. And I know it might make some of you a little bit upset that I make light of it, but guess what? You got choices. When life gives you lemons, you can be all sour or you can make lemonade with them. So I'm choosing to do the latter. If it bothers some of you, I would say I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry that you feel that way. So we've got a conflagration going on, and it's not making anybody feel good. It's not making anybody happy. And I got, this is one of those times where I have the right to remain silent, but I don't have the ability. And with all hats off to Ron White. And I probably would have had the ability if I hadn't got a text message that said, someone's really, really sad. What the hell's wrong with people? It's sad we can't grasp what's really going on in our world. If you find out, let us know. It's sad some people are such idiots, and it is. And I started thinking about this whole Monument Valley situation. And for the record, I was not an organizer of the Witness in the Desert. I was not an organizer of the plan. I was an invited speaker. And unfortunately, things didn't really work out. But I wasn't involved in the planning. I wasn't involved in the organization. I was invited to speak. So I can't speak for Derek Brose. I can't speak for anybody else that was involved in the organization of that situation. That being said, I was there for every second of it. So I know there's a lot of experts that are commenting from afar, and everybody's got an opinion. But if you weren't there, then is it too strong to say your opinion doesn't matter? Well, if you weren't there, then your opinion is certainly subject to severe questioning. So having been there literally from the first second, I was sitting right beside Derek when he pulled up to, in fact, was I driving? I drove for a little while. No, I was sitting right beside Derek as we pulled into Monument Valley for the very first time, before there were any law enforcement officials on the site, and before any of that had ever happened, before any of that ever took place. So I was there from second one. And I was there until after. That's interesting. I came there with Derek, and I was there after Derek was gone. We had a weird circumstance where Derek asked me to try to broker an agreement between the authorities and himself. I was unsuccessful in doing that, obviously. And then I was exhausted, needed to go get something to eat. And it was during the time that I went and got something to eat that the whole situation blew up. And as I was coming back with some great friends of mine who remain nameless, everybody was bugging out. So it was a little bit weird, a little bit scary. And of course, Derek didn't have any choice but to leave when he left. So don't have anybody say Jeff said Derek left him. No, Jeff didn't say that. Jeff said Derek had to leave while he was gone. And Derek kept in contact with me via text, which is pretty remarkable because the connectivity and the ability to communicate out there was restricted. So we were able to get up to the hotel, get our things out, get on the road, and get out there. And I know what Derek said in his earlier video. That's one of the reasons why I'm making this. And I'm just thinking about it. From the time we got there, everything was great. And then I think it was that night that the police came out and decided to blockade the park and shut down the park. I think we got there. I spent Tuesday with Derek. We got there Wednesday up into Monument Valley. We weren't in Monument Valley. We were outside on the Mustang Valley Ranch property, I believe it's called. And no, that's not a whorehouse, ladies and gentlemen. That would be in Nevada, not Arizona. So let's just make that clear. But we got there and everything. We had a meeting, that first podcast that you saw with Rex. No, what's it, that one? My timeline's a little mixed up, but we were there for a night. or close to a night. And then it was about dark. I think they brought out and blocked off, shut the park, and had the roadblocks up at the crossing gate. So there was a few hours there where there was no police presence. There was a few hours there where there was no rancor. There's a few hours there where there was no sadness. There was no, everybody was doing fine. And that was nice. But as I review this whole thing from a place of safety, from a place of not having to worry, I've had some sleep, and I've had some, and I'm just looking. Conspiracy theories isn't bad enough. Now they call us cult members. And I think about from the time that the police blocked off, check that, from before when we got there, and the tribal police started to feel whatever they felt that caused them to close the park, that caused them to put barricades and blockades and call in extra officers. From the very time that they started feeling whatever they felt that caused them to do that, from that second, ladies and gentlemen, until this second when I get this text message, and I know some of you are probably thinking, oh, Jeff is just making things up. It's not really, he didn't really get that. Well, he did really get that, and I'll cover up the name, but I don't know if you can see it, but I don't even want you to see it. I just want you to see it really was a text message. From the time that the authorities started feeling whatever they were feeling to make them blockade the park until this very second, there's been fear, there's been distrust, there's been anger, there's been trepidation, there's been hatred, there's been indignation. Oh, but Jeff, it's righteous indignation. For these applications, it doesn't matter. From the very time that the authorities started thinking, ooh, we got to do something, till right now, fear, worry, anger, doubt, self-righteousness, indignation, vengefulness, irritation. Who eats all of that? Who does that feed? Who gains sustenance from any and all of that? From the very moment that the law enforcement authorities in Monument Valley felt whatever they were feeling, until this moment right now, it's been an Archon smorgasbord. Fear, even if it's justified. Pain, suffering, desire to get even, indignation, righteous indignation, finger licking good. From then till now, it's been an Archon feeding fest. It's been an Archon smorgasbord. And the question has to be, when are we going to stop pouring blood in the water? When are we going to stop chumming the energetic waters? When are we going to stop chumming the energetic waters? So here's my question, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we have rights to enter in. Okay, let's just go to the very basis. And this might take a minute, but the Navajo people that have been told what they've been told about us, and they've been watching what they've been watching, I'm getting a lot of bad comments. I'm getting a lot of negative. I'm getting a lot of unbalanced comments. You people don't know. It's our land. It's our site. It's our sacred sites. Is it really? I mean, let's get down to the bottom level. Let's get beyond this matrix. Is that land in Monument Valley anybody's land? Isn't that land in Monument Valley according to Navajo thought and according to even my thought, isn't that land not only everybody's land, but isn't that land part of our mother Earth? Does the Navajo own Mother Earth? Do the Darty-Hos own Mother Earth? No. Do the Hopi own Mother Earth? No. Do the Irish own Mother Earth? No. Do the Americans own Mother Earth? No. Do the Native Americans own Mother Earth? No. None of us own Mother Earth. And I know as a Navajo, that's got to sting a little bit, but that is not your land. That is not my land. That is not our land. That is our mother. That is our sacred, divine mother, that land. Now, have the Navajo treated it a lot better than anybody else? I think we can say without fear of contradiction, yes. And have guys with my lack of melanin done a lot of bad stuff? Absolutely. Do guys like me have a lot to apologize with? Yes. And if you search this channel, you can see where probably close to a year ago, I got on here and I made a public apology on behalf of me and my ancestors for the atrocities visited upon Native peoples on this continent by my ancestors. I've never oppressed any natives. I've never personally stolen anything from a native, but I'm smart enough and spiritual enough to realize that I do have at least some karmic responsibility for it. So I apologized. So don't think that I'm a bigot. Don't think I don't care. Don't think I don't know, because I do. And yet, this land doesn't belong to anyone. Doesn't belong to Navajo, doesn't belong to me, doesn't belong to you. It is the divine earth. She is the divine earth. And how would our mother feel? How does our mother feel when Navajo is against white, when white's against Navajo, and we've taken it to a whole different level. Now we got Navajo against Navajo and whites against whites. You should see my emails and my comments. You're this, you're that, you did this, you did that. Number one, you weren't even there. You don't know. But number two, it's a fight between both sides. Not only are fighting, but we're fighting each other. And this came to me. Every time you start a fight, you have made an enemy. And every time you start a fight, you have chosen a side. Every time you start a fight, you have left the narrow way and gone to one way or the other. You can't be in a fight and be in the narrow way. You can't be in a fight unless you've chosen a side. And how does Mother Earth feel when her children are fighting against each other? I don't think Mother Earth cares much if it's whites fighting against whites, or natives fighting against natives, or natives fighting against whites, or whites fighting against natives. I don't think they care. I remember there's an old church song, red and yellow, black and white, they're all precious in his sight. Jesus loves all the children of the world. But what really happens is this: red and yellow, black and white, put them together, watch them fight. And watch the Archons feed on it and win. So when it gets down to the bottom line, there are, at least from my view, and I don't know anything for sure. The only thing I know for sure is that I don't know for sure. And that applies not only to this situation, but to everything. But it appears as though, and let's assume that within that Navajo Nation, within that particular park, there are some people there that are suffering injustice. At the very least, there's people there that don't have enough water to drink, that don't have enough food to eat, that don't have enough food to feed their livestock, much less the wild horses that run there. There's people there that have lack. And whoever's fault that is, I don't know why there has to be a fault, it's real. And some have suggested that there's some part of the Navajo Nation that is taking advantage of other parts of the Navajo Nation. We say that we live in a fear and guilt control matrix, and that there's people at the top of that fear and guilt control matrix that are controlling us and doing bad things to us. And it's probably true. But the question is, if we really believe that love is the most powerful thing in this vibration, in this reality, then how do we apply love to injustice? Because if we start fighting, we've already come out of love. We've already come out of the middle way. We've already come off the straight and narrow path. And we've already chosen a side. We have become aligned. Well, Jesus picked a side and did this and that. So first of all you know is a book written by a bunch of dead guys that's about 75% garbage. Say he said it. Were you there? Just like some of these people that weren't there, and I'm going to get a little out of love right here. Some of these people that weren't there spreading lies about what happened and saying bad things about people that were there ought to have a nice hot cup of shut the hell up. Now, back to our regularly scheduled loving program. But see, like I just did, I came out of love because I felt like I needed to defend myself. I felt like somebody else needed to be defended. And I picked a side. I made an enemy right there, at least for a moment. And you know who you are? And who just got fed? Felt pretty good for me because it was my flesh. A lot of people in the chat room laugh out loud. But really, the archons got fed in that moment. And what we have in our, and I just said, I almost had I won't call it Freudian, but it was a spiritual slip. I almost said Archon Valley. That's what it is. I know we call it Monument Valley, but it's Archon Valley. Why? Because there's a feeding fest, there's a smorgasbord, there's an all-you-can-eat buffet going on. Maybe it's not going on anymore. In Monument Valley. Because we decided to pick sides, because we decided to get offended, because we decided that we needed to defend, we needed to fight, we needed revenge, we needed vengeance, we needed to make it right. But what we really need to do is not ignore injustice, but we need to figure out a way to apply love to injustice, and not to be all unicorned, not to be all rainbowed, not to be all cotton candy and all that stuff, but because love is the most powerful thing. No, I don't have a vape pen. I don't do that. Love is the most powerful thing. And love doesn't feed archons. But when we do our present paradigm, our present modality for dealing with injustice sucks. It's busted. It's broken. It doesn't work. Oh, but it's righteous indignation. It's desire for true justice. We're right and they're wrong. And we're both feeding archons. There's got to be a way to apply love to injustice. There's got to be a way to do all the loving things that we do that don't feed archons and stop doing a diamond. Stop doing the things that we do that do feed archons. I'm not sure I know what that way is. But maybe instead of figuring out how we can get those bitches, earmuffs, sorry about that, it's a little early for that. Maybe we can turn our attentions and our desires and our beings into how can we apply love to injustice? Maybe you think that Jesus, when he was on earth, was a rabble rouser and he was a revolutionary. I dare you to prove it, but maybe you think he was. And even if he was, and even if you were right, and I don't think you are, and I got 100,000 hours of studying the scripture and a Bible college degree and 20 years as a minister, but If you think you can prove that he was a revolutionary, let me know. I'll be able, I'm your huckleberry. But even if he was, didn't he say that greater things than he did shall we do? So even if your Jesus, Ricky Bobby, was a revolutionary Jesus, even if your Jesus, Ricky Betty, was a fiery, stand up for the downtrodden, march on the Pentagon, picket Monument Valley, boycott Navajo jewelry kind of Jesus, Ricky Bobby, Ricky Betty, even if that's your kind of Jesus, that Jesus said that we can do greater things than he did. Your little tiny frilly Jesus lying in a manger, your ninja Jesus. If you haven't seen the movie, it's worth watching just for that scene. And like Diamond just said, kind of quoting Rex, I think, be the change you want to see. The rest will follow. How can we be the change we want to see when we act just like the ones that are fighting against us? If we use the same tactics of those we consider bad, how can we be good? If we do the same things that those we consider bad do, then how are we good? There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a higher way. There's got to be a more effective way. There's got to be a way to see injustice, to identify injustice, and to apply love to it in a way that doesn't feed archons. If you're on the street I'm in Kansas City. If I'm on the street in Kansas City and I see someone that doesn't have enough to eat, that doesn't have enough to drink, Tracy Dyer, manifesting confrontation isn't productive. It is, Tracy Dyer, if you're an archon trying to eat. Remember, hoes got to eat. Archons got to eat. So manifesting confrontation is productive if you're trying to feed archons. But if you're not trying to feed archons, then confrontation is counterproductive if you're not trying to feed archons. I'm just looking at some of the comments. So I got distracted. I'm sorry. There's got to be a better way. So what if I'm on the street in Kansas City? I see somebody that doesn't have enough food, doesn't have enough water. They got a dog with them that's skinny. Their animals aren't being fed. You can see the analogy I'm drawing. What's the best thing for me to do? How do I apply love to that situation? I reach into my nice jeans and pull out my leather wallet and take out some paper that they're able to exchange for food, that they're able to exchange for clothes, they're able to exchange for dog food. And don't get me into how do you know they're not going to drink it? That's not the point of this podcast. How I act in love is I see injustice and I apply love to it. Now, I know that there's a system in place, a fear and guilt control matrix, that has contributed to keeping that person poor, that has contributed to keeping that poor person hungry, that has contributed to keeping that dog skinny, that's contributed to keeping that person in the place where they are. And I know that that person really is divine, really is sovereign, really is free, and has had their heritage, their destiny, that has had a lot of things stolen from them. And that they're still in a position where this fear and guilt control matrix is trying to steal from them and is still stealing from them. But of how much effect is it if I begin to get mad at the fear and guilt control matrix that has created the situation? It's kind of stupid, and it's kind of arrogant, And it's kind of selfish. Because I think that by getting mad at a system, I think by fighting back against a system, that I can actually do something. I'm not sure that I can. We're just thinking out loud. Instead of taking all that energy to fight against a system, why don't I just apply more love to the injustice that I see? Why don't I be the change that I want to see? And if I can apply enough love to enough situations of injustice, that means a lot more people will get empowered. This person on the street in Kansas City, this proverbial person that I see, I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Portland, Oregon, preaching, and it must have been 35, 40 years ago. How old am I? 55. So it wasn't 40 years ago. It was probably 30 years ago. And I'm walking down the street, and there's this, we call them bums. Let's not be all spiritual. Oh, it was an indigent individual. It was a bum. And he said, ask me for some money. So I took out a $20 bill, and I said, I'll give you this $20 if you let me pray for you. Because I was so spiritual back then. And no, I didn't brow sweat him. Who knows what would have happened if I had. But I gave him $20. He cried. He thanked me. I went back to the same church the next year. And after the service, somebody walked up to me, dressed in a nice sport coat and a nice shirt, obviously of some wealth. And he shook my hand. He said, you don't remember me, do you? I said, nope, I don't. I don't remember you. And he said, well, you remember last year when you were walking down by the bridge and you told somebody that if they let you pray for them, you give them $20? He said, I'm that guy. And the $20 I gave him fed him enough to where he could get into his right mind and get himself back together. And he took the money and he fed himself and he got himself in his right mind and he went back and got his job. And he was actually doing a work there in Portland to feed other people just like him to create more of hymns. Now, I could have gone and protested the Portland City Council. I could have gone and, railed against the Department of Housing and Urban Development of the United States because they're doing such a terrible job. But I didn't. I helped one dude. And that dude helped himself, and he started to help other dudes that were in that self. No matter how smart I think I am, no matter how holy I think I am, no matter how spiritual I think I am, I've never walked a mile in his moccasins. And I know I shouldn't have done it, but I did and tied it back. And it's funny. It's lightheartedness. It's a joke. Don't get on the warpath with me. Oh, boy. The fight should be carried out by the people that are in the midst of the situation. I'm just editorializing. What if we just empower the people that are in the midst of a situation to fight their own way out of the situation? And just maybe the people that are there know more about it than the people that aren't there. Maybe the people that are in the middle of it know a little bit more than the people that aren't in the middle of it. And maybe when people that aren't in the middle of it start talking, they do more harm than good. Maybe. I'm not saying anything to anybody. I'm not casting aspersions on anyone. I'm just saying that if you haven't walked a mile in somebody's moccasins, you might know all about moccasins, you might know all about miles, but you don't know about their moccasins and their miles. And you're not there. Maybe the best way to apply love to injustice is to empower those that are suffering injustice. And then maybe, I'm just editorializing, maybe. But I do know that conjuring, like Tracy said, conjuring up confrontation, I know for sure that feeds archons, no doubt about it. I 100% know when we get all ginned up with righteous indignation and righteous fervor, that feeds archons. There's no doubt about it. Zero. Does it feel good? Yes, it does feel good. Did I feel good when I said you weren't there, so have a hot cup of shut that all up? Felt really good. Felt so good, I said it again. But it's counterproductive. And it's just feeding archons. So sometimes you have to be ridiculous. You have to be absurd to illustrate absurdity. I've got these emails. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into it. Applying love to injustice. Fixing a situation from the outside I think it's a little bit arrogant. I think it's a little bit self-serving. I think it feels good to do it, but it's finger-licking good to the archons for sure. And I don't even know if it's really effective. You know, it goes back to the whole thing. If I help somebody, the guy that took my $20, if he'd have just taken it and didn't use it for anything good, I could have given him $20 every day and it never would have done anything for him. But he's the one that took the $20 and he's the one that made the change. He made the change that he wanted to see. And the reason he could see the change that needed to be made is because he was in the situation. Now I can sit back from my ivory tower and from my perch and say, oh, I think I know what needs to be done. And I can beat the drums and, oh, there I did it again. Didn't even mean to that time. But I'm not there. But Jeff, I want to make sure it happens. We want to control. We want to be in control. We want to direct. We're almost acting like the fear and guilt control matrix people ourselves. And we say, oh, we want to do this. We want to do that. We want to make sure everybody, I don't know. I really do not know. I really do not know. All I know is that archons receive sustenance from fear, from anger, even righteous anger, from doubt. Anything that's not love, archons feed off of. No doubt about it. And even in our attempts to do good, we can be feeding archons. I'm pretty sure. Because if it's a rule for one thing, it's a rule for everything. If we know that archons feed on fear, and we're doing anything that causes fear, we're feeding archons. If we know that archons feed on hate, and we're doing anything that causes hate, we're feeding archons. If we know that archons feed on anger, and we're doing anything that causes anger, we're feeding archons. Now we can throw our hands up and we can say, Jeff, you're crazy. You're a liar. I want to do it my way. Or we can try to come up with a better way of implying love to injustice, because we've been doing it this way for a long time. And let's examine our results. How's it working for us? How's the social justice warrior paradigm working for us? How's the let's fight injustice, let's choose up sides, let's come out of the narrow way, let's put our dukes up, let's fight. How's that paradigm working for us? Take a look around. Watch the news tonight. And you'll see how that paradigm's working for us. All I'm saying is there might be another way. All I'm saying is there might be a better way of applying love to injustice. Does helping the guy that needed the $20 without railing against the system that put him in that situation, is that really the key? And if you help a guy that needs $20 and he's in a system and he from inside the system organically begins to fight the system that put him hungry, broke, with a skinny dog on the street, with his sovereignty, divinity, his heritage stolen from him. Who's better equipped? Me, because I had $20 in my pocket, or him? And is it really, I'm gonna get myself in trouble now. Is it really, at the end of the day, I've got to expose this, I've got to tell everybody about this, I got to make it known? Is that really for the dude that needs the $20, or is that for me? I'm just asking questions. Is our need to expose, it's like me and L.A. Marzulli. Is it really important for me to call out L.A. Marzulli for being a Jesuit shill? Is it really important for me to call out Scotty Clark for being a Jesuit shill? Did I really need to do that? Or did I need to just let you know that everything that those two guys, and a lot more like him, teach is Jesuit doctrine, bad stuff? If I'd have been smarter, I never would have used the name L.A. Marzulli. And my best wishes go out to the Marzulli family who recently lost their house. Don't feel any less strong that he's wrong. But I have apologized publicly to L.A. Marzulli, and I do so again today. I took the wrong way. I took the way of righteous indignation. I took the way of exposing. I took the way of the very thing. In trying to kill monsters, I became one. And I apologize to Scotty Clark for doing the same thing. I should have applied love to injustice by identifying it. But I didn't have to go. Yeah, it's tough. It really is. But cultivating confrontation, I know it feeds archons, so there's got to be a better way. Is it better to just help the people in the situation and empower them to speak with their own voice from an organic, internal perspective? Is it ego? Is it arrogance? Is it selfishness? Even if it's righteous arrogance, righteous indignation, does it help or does it hurt? Yeah, it feels good. But just because it feels good doesn't mean you should do it. I mean, especially if we say we're of the middle way. Especially if we say don't take a side. And that's really the true spirituality. If it's a rule for one thing, it's a rule for everything. If we're not supposed to take sides, we're not supposed to take sides. If we're not supposed to come out of the middle way, we're not supposed to come out of the middle way. There's got to be a better way than the way we're doing it. There's got to be a better way than to get people so scared and upset that I get emails saying I'm scared, I'm upset. Because I know who's getting fed when people are scared. I know who's getting fed when people are upset. There's got to be a better way. Do I know the better way? No. Do I know the better way? No, I don't. But I do know this. The one we've been using, the paradigm we've been using, is the very paradigm that's used against us. And even the paradigm we're using now feeds the archons and doesn't work. And there goes my internet. Continuing to do things the same way, expecting to get a different result, as I had a little internet gremlin. Definition of insanity is continuing to do things the same way and expecting different results. If I'm an idiot for suggesting that we need some different results and might want to consider some different ways, then I'm an idiot. If you want to unsubscribe from this channel because I'm suggesting that we've been doing the same thing the same way and it's not working, then unsubscribe. If actually saying maybe there's a better way than the way we're doing it, if that upsets you, then unsubscribe. If that upsets you, don't be my friend anymore. If that bothers you, then do whatever you do. Feel your righteous indignation. Talk bad about me. Get people to boycott me. Get people to unsubscribe from my channel. And in doing all those things, guess who you're feeding? Finger looking good. The archons are saying, keep on. Keep doing it. Keep feeding us. I'm saying there's got to be a better way to apply love to injustice. There's got to be a better way. And if we stop fighting against each other and bickering with each other, we just might find it. And maybe this is part of the whole reason why that God is fighting against each other and bickering with each other, is so we don't come up with solutions. Even in this Monument Valley, Archon Valley conflagration, this inferno. And I was there. And I know the things that were said. We've got rights to go into that park. And we do. This country is a free country, and it is. The police are being heavy-handed. Perhaps they were. They're like the Nazis. Even if every one of those statements is true, there's got to be a way to apply love to such injustice without feeding archons. There's got to be a way to apply love to injustice. There's got to be a way to beat the system without using the tools of the system. If all we have to beat the fear and guilt control matrix are aspects and tools of the fear and guilt control matrix, then we ourselves haven't got out of the fear and guilt control matrix. If you're telling me that I can only beat the matrix by using the things that the matrix, but if I can only beat the matrix by using things of the matrix, I'm not out of the matrix. I'm still in the matrix. We'll never defeat the matrix. We'll never defeat the fear and guilt control matrix by using the tools of the fear and guilt control matrix. And the evidence is all around you. We got to try some better tools. We got to use some things that aren't of the fear and guilt control matrix. At least that's the way I see it. At least that's the way I see it. And I was there from the first second till past the last second. And I wasn't the organizer. It wasn't my baby. And I mean, let's be honest, folks. There's ugly babies out there. I know you don't think it. You think your baby's beautiful. Sometimes, no, your baby's not beautiful. But you can't see your baby's not beautiful because it's your baby. Sometimes your baby's a little ugly. There are ugly babies. We've all seen them. We can pretend that no babies are ugly. There's ugly babies. But parents can't see that their baby's ugly. You watch Seinfeld. Kramer goes, everybody, oh, look at baby Seinfeld or Kramer. Ugly baby. There are ugly babies. There's ugly dogs. There's ugly people. But when you own the baby, when it's your baby, you can't see that there's things that are not pretty about your baby. I just think there's a better way, and I keep digging deeper holes, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the shovel down and see if I can climb out of this one. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. But I didn't get on YouTube to play it safe. I didn't get on YouTube to do anything other than speak the truth as I see it. And I didn't even get on YouTube. I got on YouTube to get people to ask questions. I got on YouTube to get people to look at different perspectives they may not ever consider. I got on YouTube to shine the light into the dark corners of orthodoxy. And it's easy for you to cheer for me. Go get them, Jeff. Go get them when I'm talking about the Christian church. It's really easy for you to talk to me when I'm talking, to cheer me on when I'm talking about, when I'm shining the light in the dark corners of Christianity or of the Bible or of big time religion. It's really easy to cheer for me then. But when I start shining the light of objectivity into the dark corners of our house, I don't hear so much cheering sometimes. Sometimes I hear boo, hiss. Or sometimes I hear the click of an unsubscribe button. That's all right. That's all right. Because I didn't come here to be popular. It's a good thing. I came here to make you think about things that you wouldn't normally think about. I came here to make you ask questions that you wouldn't normally ask. I came here to give you, to cause you to consider perspectives that maybe you wouldn't have considered. And you've watched me over the last few years. How many times have I contradicted my damn self? How many times do I have to say, I thought I was right, but I found out I wasn't really right? So do what you got to do, cousin. And if I have become your enemy by suggesting that there might be a better way, if I've become your enemy by suggesting that the results show that there might be a better way to do what we've been doing, that there might be better tools, if I've become your enemy by suggesting that we can find a better way to apply love to injustice, then so be it. You'll never make you my enemy. You don't have the power to do that. You can only make me yours. And I'm not taking any more enemies right now. You think simply. And I've decided I'm going to do everything I can to stop feeding archons. And if it gets to the place where I got one subscriber left, and that's me, I'll still be your huckleberry. And this will still be my game. And you may be walking over my grave. You may be walking over the grave of the Christian whistleblower. But I'll be under the dirt saying, hey, have you thought about this? It is what it is. And we may be having Bob from the Great White Brotherhood on next Monday to talk about all of this stuff. Not this stuff, but some other stuff. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I think it's 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. Central. Jay Campbell, myself, Shane Bales, the Ruiner, right? Live and uncensored. How long have I been on? Thank you, Richard. Trick your critics. You're right. There's always another way to fight with love. Well, I hope so. I wonder if I can even go back through all of these questions. Probably not. Jesus exposed lies. Of course he did. Hi, Jeff, and everyone coming in late. I'll rewatch. There's many routes to a mountain, and all of them require one to walk uphill. Yeah, I agree with that. A house divided cannot stand. Unity and love is power. Finger looking good is supposed to creep out. It's a reference from a horror movie. Of course it is, Shane. Why do you think I use it? Are you defending me? You probably are. There's no freedom or liberty in that. And what? Am I being torn? Am I saying us torn apart? Everyone was happy and positive before the sad events took place. It's not the events, it's our reaction to them. Actually, there's no federally provided rights. The only way to beat is to separate. That makes sense, Brian. Fight fire with water, fight anger with love. Ooh, Francis Smith, that's some good stuff. Beat it with love. I think there's no reason to go into all of this. It looks like there's a lot of good comments. Looks like there's a lot of strong opinions on each side, but I'm going to try to stay in the middle way. I'm not going to try to feed archons. I'm going to leave suggesting what I said when we started. If we do the same thing over and over again and expect the same results, that's called crazy. And if we use the tools of the matrix to defeat the matrix, I'm suggesting that that is equally crazy. And I'm suggesting that there's a better way and that together we can find it. And I'm suggesting that there's got to be a way to apply love to injustice without creating any energetic frequency that feeds archons. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm stupid, but I've been called crazy and stupid before, and I'll be called crazy and stupid again. But look it in the chat room. I've given you something new to consider. And that's what I'm here for. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. It's easy to cheer when I'm blowing other people's whistles. How's it feel when I'm blowing yours? That sounded weird, but you know what I mean. Your own guru, guide your own spirit, master your own ascension. And those are fun words, but a little different when you really start doing it and you really start doing the inside job. We are the last generation of real humans. Let's have the guts. Thank you, Limitless Love. Let's have the guts to think of trying a different way. Let's have the guts to admit that maybe we're wrong. Let's have the guts to admit that maybe there's something better than the tools of the matrix to defeat the matrix. Let's have the guts to try to think of a better way to apply love to injustice. And while we're doing all that, let's get busy, cousins.